Hello, everyone. My name is Ginny Ray Clay. I am the Executive Director of the Social Equity Council. Welcome to our 2024 NOFA webinar question and answer session. So the purpose of this webinar is to provide you with information on the Council's reinvestment spending plan. The Social Equity Council is responsible for reinvesting in communities disproportionately impacted by the war on drugs, and we do that through grant making. I'm going to introduce my staff joining us today so you'll know who is a member of the Social Equity team. Vera Lembrick is the Reinvestment Program Manager. Anna Rosa is our Administrative Assistant. Arlene Galindo is our Outreach Program Manager. Karen Colbert is our Paralegal. Christina Diamond is our Legislative and Communications Program Manager. Before we get started on the presentation, I would ask if the folks that have joined us today would be kind enough to introduce yourselves, and I will call on you, and you can just tell us your name and what organization you are representing today. So I have Susan. Okay, we will circle back to Susan. How about Becca?
Hi, I'm Becca Allen from the Melville Charitable Trust. I'm interested in both I also work with SO, supporting organizing work, which is a funder collaborative part of CCP, or Connecticut Council on Philanthropy. Sorry.
Thank you. And then we have Kay.
Hi, good afternoon, everyone. I'm Kay Mello, Director of Community Impact at United Way of Greater Waterbury.
Nice to see you. LaShonda.
Hi, my name is LaShonda Nolan, and I'm with Hartford Communities That Care in Hartford, Connecticut.
Excellent. Lisa.
Hi, just trying to unmute. Can you hear me okay?
Yes, we can.
I'm Lisa Alexander. I'm the Program Budget Manager for United Way of Coastal and Western Connecticut.
Thank you. Robin?
I'm Robin Golden, and I'm here really representing an organization called Match, but we're not actually eligible to apply for this, but I'm fascinated with this work. And so unless you don't want me to stay on because I'm not an applicant, I would just love to just sit in and listen. So let me know if you want me to leave.
You're welcome to stay, Robin. Tamisha?
Hello, I'm here.
Okay, we wanted you to introduce yourself and what organization you're with.
Okay, wonderful. Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Tamisha Mills, and I am the Executive Assistant for the Executive Director, Ursula Hughes, from the Prosperity Foundation. Glad to be here again.
Thank you. Maybeth?
Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Maybeth Morales Davis. I'm the Deputy Director of NEST, Community Revitalization Organization.
Thank you. And I see Canella.
Yes. Hi, good afternoon, everyone. Canela Torres. I'm the Director for Grants at Hispanic Federation. We're headquartered in New York City, but we have an office in Hartford.
Thank you. Hello, Susan. You are just joining us. We are asking folks to introduce themselves and what organization you're representing.
Yes, and my apologies, Ginny. I was having technical difficulties. Susan Sadecki, Main Street Community Foundation. We serve the communities of Bristol, Burlington, Plainville, Plymouth, Southington, and Woolgate.
Okay, fantastic. Did I miss anyone? If I did, please raise your hand and introduce yourselves. Okay, fantastic. We do have a presentation that I will ask Anna to start to run. And if you have any burning questions while I'm speaking, please raise your hand and we can answer those. Otherwise, we can ask the questions at the end. Next slide, please. Okay, so the agenda for today, we've already taken care of the introductions. We're going to talk a little bit about the NOFA, the timeline, what violence prevention means in our space. And then we'll have some time for questions and answers, and then we'll talk about the next steps. Not necessarily in this order, but we'll get to all of those topics. So the purpose of the Social Equity Council, or the purpose of this grant, we're talking about the NOFA today, is the council is responsible for reinvesting in communities that have been disproportionately impacted by the war on drugs. And the way that we will do that is we're going to be, through this NOFA, receiving proposals from third-party grant makers to administer community reinvestment funds that are derived from the Connecticut adult use cannabis tax. If you are and I will say this, if you are in receipt of federal dollars, you may want to check with your legal team to determine if you are able to apply and or receive cannabis-related funds. Cannabis is not legal at the federal level. We have many restrictions from the federal government related to federally funded programs. And so we do not want you to get into any trouble or jeopardize any federal funding you have. So please check with your legal team. And the purpose of the grants into the community are to provide immediate assistance, financial assistance to enhance programs and services in communities that are disproportionately impacted. And the purpose of those programs are to increase the quality of life, vibrancy, accessibility, and equity in communities. So our funds are specifically targeted for what we call a DIA, and that is a disproportionately impacted area. And the way that the DIAs are determined, and this is a map, the current map that we have of DIAs will be our map for the next 7 years. So you don't have to worry about this map changing over the next, and we are looking for a 3-year budget period for the current grant makers that we'll be working with. So over the next 3 years, this map will remain the same. And so the service areas should remain the same. But the DIAs are areas that have census tracts with high drug conviction rates and high poverty rates. And we can get into a little bit more about that if you would like some additional information. So who is eligible to manage cannabis funds? So the grant makers that we are looking for have at least 5 years or more of grant making experience, which means you have a full grant making process already in place. So what we're doing is we're asking the grant makers to use their process to distribute cannabis funds. You must be headquartered in Connecticut. All of the grants, and there is an application, as you know, by the NOFA. It was a questionnaire that we asked you, that we'll ask you to complete, and we'll ask you to provide some supporting documents. And in that questionnaire, some of this information is asked. Are you in compliance with state, local, and federal rules? Have you managed large-scale projects? These grants are that these grant managers will be administering are millions of dollars, okay, for this round. So violence prevention is a very, very broad way of us being able to include many different programs and services that are happening at the grassroots level. So we're looking at, through violence prevention, we're looking at programs that strengthen families, create opportunities to provide additional enhanced grassroots programs and service. So people who want to expand the work that they're doing. We're going to give you the details and the criteria for who can apply, but that is not in this NOFA. We will be discussing that in the contracts that we have with the grant makers. But overall, it's enriching programs for young people that assist in exposing them to future workforce and life skills opportunities, and programs that focus on formerly incarcerated individuals and their families. And again, we tried to make this very broad because there's many, many programs that are going on in the community that we're not aware of, and we did not want to exclude someone from having the opportunity to receive these funds. So the funding distribution, as I mentioned before, we are looking at a 3-year budget contracting period. The funds that we will be identifying will not be this amount of money over the years. It will be this amount of money broken out into 3 years. And again, during our contracting phase with the grant maker, we will determine what's the best amount of money to roll out over the next 3 years. So our areas of distribution are Bridgeport and Stamford area. And as you can see, that includes Bridgeport, Stamford, Norwalk, Ansonia, Derby, and Stratford. The New London, Norwich area includes New London, Griswold, Groton, Norwich, Killingly, Wyndham. Greater Hartford. Now, Hartford is broken up into 2 areas because for our area, Hartford was very large. It had 13 municipalities, which we thought was a little difficult for one grant maker to manage. And so we broke it up into Greater Hartford, Enfield, New Britain, Manchester, South Windsor, Vernon, and then the capital area of Hartford, which is Hartford, Bloomfield, East Hartford, West Hartford, and Windsor. The New Haven area consists of New Haven, Brantford, Meriden, Middletown, Hamden, West Haven, and Wallingford. And then Waterbury area consists of Bristol, Danbury, Plainville, Southington, Torrington, Waterbury, and Winchester. So to some of you that have specific service delivery areas, I'm sure none of this matches with what you guys are working with. And we had to just be as mindful as we could. We didn't go by county. So in New Haven County, it consists of Waterbury and New Haven. So we wanted to split the towns up to try to disperse the funds as evenly as we could. And so that's how we kind of came up with these towns and sort of matching them together. Okay. And the next slide. So this is where the funds, so we have $22 million to distribute. You will see in the New London, Norwich area, there's $2 million. Greater Hartford, 3.2. Hartford Capital, 3.5. Waterbury, 4.2. New Haven, 4.7. And the Bridgeport, Stamford area, 4.2. As a grant maker, we will be negotiating with you admin, so a certain percentage of the grant. And like I said, we'll negotiate that, but it will be between 3% and 7% of the grant. You can use the grant to do contract closing fees, legal expenses related to grant administration. Because of the dollar amount, it is likely that you will be required to do a single audit. And so you can cover that cost out of the grant admin funds. The things that you cannot use the money for: you cannot loan the money. You can't create a loan fund. You can't replenish a loan fund. You cannot use it for lobbying. You can't pay taxes. You can't subsidize any businesses. There is no refinancing or restructuring of existing debt. Relocation of businesses is not an eligible use. Personal loans, personal needs such as child support, rent, utilities, illegal activities, or you cannot purchase or lease vehicles. Sometimes when there are grants out, there is a required match. And for this grant, there is no required match. So there is a grant application process, grant manager application process. So there is the questionnaire, which is on our website, and you must submit the questionnaire, the supporting documents. The deadline for that is April 9th at 11:59. Once we receive all of the questionnaires, the staff, my team, will go through the questionnaires. We will rate and rank the answers. We will be making recommendations to our council. And then once the council votes on the contracts or selecting the grant managers, we will notify the awardees in writing, and we will also notify those grant managers that applied who we did not go with. We have a very tight timeline in moving on this. So you will see here, and I'll just give you, as I mentioned, April 9th at 11:59 is the deadline to submit your application or questionnaire. The questionnaires will be reviewed between April 10th and the 14th. We will be making our recommendations. Then our reinvestment committee will review our recommendations. They will then we will have a special meeting of the council. We're expected to have that on April 17th. And that's when we will know who the grant makers are. And then we will go immediately into contract execution. with the 6 selected grant makers, and we hope to have the funds awarded to all of the grant makers between May 22nd and May 25th. During the process, again, of the negotiating the contracts and executing the contracts, we will go into greater detail with the grant makers on the timeline for dispersing funds. And again, the eligible uses and all of the criteria that we have put together for managing the grants in the community. So today is we probably should have took this one out, but today is our last webinar. We do have, I think it's the 25th, that you can submit questions up to March 25th. You can submit any questions. So any questions that you have as a follow-up to this webinar, if you would please submit those questions to secprograms@ct.gov. We had a webinar earlier this week and people started submitting questions to me. They should not come to me. They should go to this email. When you have completed your questionnaire and you have all of the supporting documents, you should email to this email as well. Okay. All right. So Lisa, you have a question.
Yeah, I was just wondering, is there a form for the grant budget? Or is it a two-phase application?
No, it's a questionnaire, and one of the supporting documents that you submit with the questionnaire is your current budget.
And so is that on a template that you would require that we use, or are we just using our own format?
It's your budget, your agency's budget. It's not the budget for the grant. It's your budget.
Oh, so you don't want a budget specifically for the grant?
Well, there's two things you can use the grant for: admin and grant making. And so when we select the grant maker, we will then negotiate the budget, the 3 to 7% of admin.
Okay, that's great. Thank you.
Mhm. We did a pilot program last year, and so we did ask for a budget document, but then we realized that there were just 2 line items. So we didn't ask for the budget document for the grant itself. But when we go into the contract, there will need to be a budget for the grant maker. And again, we'll negotiate that, but that's not one of the key pieces to getting the grants out to the community. Becca.
Hi, so it sounds like it's not, I was wondering if you're looking for one person to be the grant maker for all the sites, but it seems like you can have a couple.
We're going to have 6 grant makers.
Okay, so for each region, there'll be a grant maker for each. Thank you so much. Thanks.
Mhm. Lisa.
Back again. So that reminds me of a question that I had as we were going through the region and the towns that are listed in the region. Does the grant maker, if we're only choosing one per region, does that grant maker need to serve all of those towns?
Yes.
Okay, thank you.
Can we go, and we can go back if you'd like to see the town breakout, Anna, if we could go back to that slide. That slide, yeah. And just so you know, you'll know, if some of you are new, some people have applied with us before, and some of you helped us with the pilot program. So the grant manager's responsibility is to fully manage. That means market, technical assistance, community review team, setting all of that up. And again, we get into the kind of the details of that as we go through the negotiation of the contracts. But it's a pretty heavy lift, but I believe the NOFA covers all of what we're looking for the grant makers to do, the grant managers to do. Kay, you have a question?
Yes, hi. So just sort of asking a question that's similar to what Lisa asked, looking at the Waterbury area. So like United Way of Greater Waterbury, we only serve Waterbury. We don't serve Bristol, Danbury, Plainville, Southington, Torrington. So then we wouldn't be able to apply, correct?
If you're not able to serve these communities, you would not be able to apply.
Okay,
It's all, you have to serve all the towns in that area.
got it. Thanks.
And Lisa, I'm assuming you just didn't lower your hand, or did you have
I
another
have
question?
another question.
Okay.
Just wondering if it's possible to partner, or would you need to, as the applicant org, need to serve all the towns? Could we partner perhaps with Waterbury?
I'm not, so tell me how that would work.
We're both United Way, and United Way of Coastal and Western Connecticut serves Danbury, whereas the Waterbury United Way serves Waterbury. I don't know necessarily of all the towns, but just wondering if that's a potential scenario where we could partner so that we can cover the whole area.
You can propose it. I don't think that that's going to work for us.
Okay.
But like I said, you can send it in with your as a part of your questionnaire, because we do ask you how you would serve these communities. So if you are proposing a partnership with another, I would just need to know who is actually the grant manager, and then what the partner relationship does or means. We just don't want things to be, to get confusing for the grassroots organizations.
Thank you.
And Kay?
Hi again. Yeah, so actually, that was a great idea that Lisa had, but looking at that Waterbury area, probably there's about 3 or 4 different United Ways, that would cover those specific towns. So I think just clarifying again probably wouldn't work for you, is what I'm hearing you say.
I'd have to
Thank
see
you.
the proposal. I mean, we can,
Yeah.
we can have a discussion if you want to have if you want to, like you said, send some questions. I want everybody to kind of hear, this to be a very transparent process and how it might work. But I'd have to learn more about exactly what you're talking about.
Okay.
So let me, and just, I'm thinking now, so if you're, let's just say you were, and I'm just gonna say that you were Greater Waterbury United Way, and then there was the Greater Hartford that serves Southington. The Greater Waterbury would be the applicant. You would team up with the Southington United Way to do the marketing and receiving the applications. Is that what you're speaking about?
Yeah, actually, I mean, that was Lisa's thought, which I thought was a good one, but looking at that, it's probably about 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 United Ways that cover those different towns. So I think it would be rather complicated.
Yeah, it might. Karen, we can talk offline.
Yeah,
I'm thinking of the Connecticut United Ways organization,
yeah. Okay, let's talk offline. Thank you, Jenny Ray. Appreciate it.
Any other questions? Any other comments?
Jenny, I just have one question. This is Susan, and I can't find my hand thing. So the monies, like for the Waterbury area, the 4.2 million, that's over 3 years, correct? To be distributed over 3 years?
Correct.
And is there a certain schedule that is expected by the Social Equity Council? Like, is it divided evenly over those 3 years, or it depends on the grant maker when they choose the program that they're funding is a 3-year program?
So it's an annual program. So we're thinking of 50% in the first year, 25 and 25%.
Okay.
In the next over the next 2 years. But again, we would be working with the grant maker because there may be something that we don't know. So it could be a third, and then a third and a third. So each community is different. So we want to be
Right.
flexible.
Right. Okay. Thank you.
Mhm. Anything else that, so I will just ask my staff, Vera is the is the reinvestment program manager. So Vera, I don't know if you had any other comments that you wanted to make. You guys will be working mainly with Vera throughout this process. So I'll give her an opportunity to say a few words.
I just wanted to say thank you for attending the webinar, and please, if you have any questions, please submit them to the SEC programs@ct.gov. I know, Ginny, in the previous webinar, you spoke about the use of the admin funds to include program salaries directly related to the program. So salaries that you can hire a program manager, and if the collaborations will work, you may need to hire a few people. So just to add that in, and we just thank you for attending today. I look forward to working with whoever is selected.
Okay, if there are no other questions, I will give you back the rest of your afternoon. And again, if you have questions, please submit them to secprograms@ct.gov. And we do have a Facebook page, so please follow us on Facebook. We also have a YouTube channel, and you can find out more information about our meetings, our council meetings, our committee meetings on YouTube, as well as our SEC website. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you. Take care.
Take care.
Bye.
Bye-bye.